That's the good stuff.
But we could dive into Krisha if you guys want to. That'll be a way different movie.
Oh, I was gonna ask you guys.
What's up?
So before we jump in, so if you had to choose one artist to listen to, like in your lifetime, who would it be? Like at a concert.
Right now in my current
In general, like who one person that you always would have wanted to see, dead or alive.
My Chemical Romance right now, because they haven't been on tour in a very long time. And I don't think they're going to come out with music maybe ever again, in my opinion, just because honestly, they're just getting old. So they're about to play in Tampa in August, September. And I've been looking at tickets like every single week to see if they'll go down in price, and they haven't. But I would love to see My Chemical Romance at concert, just also because the emo culture and the pop culture of the United States that was happening in the 2000s really isn't prevalent anymore. So I think that if you go to a concert for them, I feel like it would see it. Not only do I think their music is very good and very unique, I think it would feel like a moment in time that has been ripped out of the 2000s and back into the 2025, which I think would just be so unique to experience. But there you go.
You said dead or alive?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Stone was ready.
That's tough. Maybe like Johnny Cash in his prime, or maybe someone like a Pavarotti. I think he has one of the best voices of all time. That would have been cool.
Preacher Boy from Sinners.
Yeah, that would be a cool.
The ancestors up in the place. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, if I had to go one, I would definitely choose Adele. I would definitely do Adele.
She's making bank from Vegas right now. Or no,
she's on tour?
Vegas?
I have no clue.
Oh, I know she had a Vegas show for a long time.
Did she have like a residency thing or whatever? Like
she did for a while, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think I've seen her like touring in Europe and stuff, and the crowds have been insane. So yeah, Adele's a good pick though. I do love Adele. I have one of her records back here, but
yeah, her shit's insane. But glad to see like she's in a better place. I'm not trying to get album 35 or whatever she does, because you know how she numbers them by age.
Yeah.
Speaking of a woman that's not in a better space, Krisha.
Oof.
That's pretty good. Yeah, this is when I searched up this movie, I think maybe almost everyone in this film is part of Trey's family, because this was his directorial debut. Yes. So in order to make it cheaper, I think that the home and most of the actors, besides maybe Krisha, who is the lead.
No, she's his aunt.
Really?
She's his aunt?
Yeah.
Holy shit. So
Crazy.
that just adds so much to this film, and honestly makes it just feel so much personal, obviously, to Trey. But let me do the little synopsis here. So the cast is, I guess I just had Krisha Fairchild because she's obviously the focus of this movie, so I didn't write down anybody else's name. But it says, when Krisha returns to her estranged family for Thanksgiving dinner, past demons threaten to ruin the festivities. And it's very slow moving, which I think first perfectly fits like a family reunion, especially with the character and who she was in the past and who she is currently. You don't necessarily know, obviously, when she visits there, and you can see so much character in Krisha. The fact that it is her aunt is just blowing my mind right now, that she is his aunt. But I like that this kind of is a mystery, kind of like It Comes at Night. It doesn't pay off, quote unquote, with what really comes at night. This is the more you get into this woman and this family and the dynamics of it, it's very perfect for a narrative for a film, unlike maybe the one we just mentioned. But the performances are great. I think that this is Trey at his best before he was more self-indulgent into his style of filmmaking. It doesn't get exhausting watching this movie, unlike his other films. And I think maybe more than any of his other movies, in my personal opinion, and I'll end in this, he edits all of them. He's edited all of them. And I think that this is his best edited movie, in my opinion. And this is my favorite movie from him out of all of his filmography. What about you guys?
Fabian, you just watched this last night, right?
Yeah.
How was that experience for you?
Sad, uh, regretful. What's another word? Filled with forgiveness, I would say. But definitely like heartbroken, because I don't know. We'll dive into that, but yeah, there's a lot like you can relate to, and you can see that side that Krisha wants to get to. That not a lot of people will be able to forgive, but it wants to kind of give you the chance to forgive. And I think that's the best thing about the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of. I think addiction is something that gets kind of tackled a lot in storytelling, and I think it's interesting to kind of look at the back end of that, and look at someone who um, was very close to people, and then maybe was split away from them because of whatever they were struggling with. And I think seeing them come back into the fold, and like seeing kind of the different ways the family treats her, with the dad, Doyle, like he's more so kind of suspicious. And I think with throughout the family, you see like a variety of different attitudes, but it's always a little bit tense. And you can feel people on edge and like unsure of how she's going to function, and if she's actually healed. And it definitely is pretty heartbreaking. But I think Trey is he likes working with tension, and he likes kind of drawing that out. And I think this entire thing, it's very short and concise. He does a good job with it. So I really enjoy it, and I think like you can tell how personal it was. Like, they were able to make this for like $30,000. They shot it in like about a week. So like I think it was probably easy and smooth working with family, and they all kind of do a really nice job. So I think it's definitely a good movie.
I said it's cool too. Is that I love movies like this. Is that there's like a plot device, like with the turkey, like 60%, 65% of this movie all revolves around her. Like, can you handle this turkey? And the fact that when the turkey goes crashing down to the ground, that's when all hell breaks loose. I just think that's a very smart inclusion in the script.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just and then the Trey plays her son, and I was reading up on the facts that especially there's this one sequence where all the family's together. I think there's like some of them that are watching like television, like sports, and they're cheering it on and everything like that. And then Trey comes into camera. The fact that he was like on a chair directing people when the camera wasn't on him, and then he would have to jump off the chair and like run into frame and then do his part and then go back on and make sure that everyone was in their place. I just think this is one of the best directorial debuts, in my opinion, that I've ever seen. Like, it's impressive, is what he's able to do here.
Yeah, I think he does a nice job too. I think he feels very like detached and closed off, and you can feel like the effect that everything that happened, like the effect that had on him. And like he's always kind of trying to like push it away. I think when you look at, we'll see it unfortunately reflected in waves, but like I think he's been through a lot and like had some hard times as well, and he's talked about that. And I think like you kind of see someone in the movie and his character that feels like a product of that. And I think it's a nice job acting by him, especially with the pressure of the making his debut here.
yeah, I totally agree. I think, like you mentioned, Stone, about the kind of the symbolism of the turkey, like how simple but effective it can be. Where you're putting so much time into something, and you have the idea of wanting it to be perfect, so you're also like putting that in with the relationship between her and the son, and then by the end it all just crashes down, and it just doesn't work. And I really enjoy like how he's able to do like more with less here. I feel everybody felt very believable. You see different qualities in people. It's not too stuck on one person, while you're also just giving kind of like a character study with Krisha. So I found that very interesting, and also there was a lot of relatability with it because my brother, like we grew up all together, but we have different dads. So his dad, my dad he calls him dad, like he doesn't say stepdad or anything like that. Like it's at that point. But I would see his dad would come probably like appear once every 3 years, and literally just stop by out of nowhere, just talk to him like normal, and then just leave. So like he never tried. So and then also just losing my mom. So it's like I kind of saw some things there, and you're able to understand those people in those situations, how they struggle with addiction, because the mental, I feel like it's something that we'll never truly understand. Like I don't, even with the amount of science that we have nowadays, I don't think someone can truly understand what goes on in there for some people, unfortunately. But just you don't have to like a person. Not everybody's going to be perfect. People are going to make terrible choices, not necessarily mistakes, like terrible choices. But you're able to forgive Krisha as you watch the movie, even though she makes terrible decisions. But like you're able to feel that forgiveness if you were in the shoes of a family member, I guess you could say.
Speaking of terrible decisions, I thought it was a huge misstep by the family. Like I was upset with the family more than Krisha, especially her sister, because it was her sister's idea, right, to invite her to this get together, thinking that she had sobered up and that she was recovering, which it appeared like she was. But the fact that you have alcohol there, I think, is a recipe for disaster. Like, don't obviously the family might have not liked that. Like, don't have like where's the booze at? It's Thanksgiving. Let's have a good time. Krisha's coming. So let's try to help her out as a family and just drink Diet Coke the entire time that we're here at Thanksgiving. So just personally for me, if this was my family, I wouldn't have had alcohol at all there. Guess what? It would have smoothed out your fucking problems if you didn't. So don't do that. I saw that. I was like, that's a recipe for disaster. If she's in, obviously there's going to be an emotional time for her seeing her son with his new parents because you are no longer in the situation. If she gets depressed, what do you think she's going to do? What if she runs out of cigarettes? What do you think she's going to go to then? Oh, look what you did. Look what you did.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a bad look if you're having someone that's, you know, dealt with addiction to just have alcohol. Like you shouldn't need to drink more than you need that person to be okay. Like it's one dinner, you'll get through it. It's kind of concerning if you can't do that. But anyway, I think that's a good point, and I think you do feel sympathy for her, right? And I think you were talking a bit about addiction earlier. I think addiction is definitely like not kind of like you were saying. It's not like a monolith, and like there's no way. It's not just one thing that like we can just understand, right? It's different for everyone. There's a lot of different varieties, and people can move past it in a lot of different ways, and it at the same time it is like it's like a sickness, right? Like that affects people, and I think like you see that portrayed really well. Something I found sad, they based the movie on Trey's cousin, who was Krisha's niece, who basically had this happen. She relapsed at a reunion, and then she overdosed after the fact and died, like shortly after that, which is really sad. So I think it was personal to them. Also, the woman who played the grandmother, who is kind of like losing it mentally, and kind of makes it more tense. She actually has Alzheimer's and like didn't really know what was going on. I don't know what her relationship is to Trey. She's Billy Fairchild, but she was just there kind of vibing, and she didn't know really she was in a movie. But
That's cool.
It's a cool thing to have for them to be able to do this as a family, and especially when they're processing like losing a family member. Also, something that was kind of unsettling is like her fingertip is gone. There were two dogs fighting like right before the movie, and she tried to break them up and lost the tip of her finger. And she was potentially going to drop out, and then she was like, "Nah, I'm just going to keep making it." But I thought that was like a weird, unsettling little.
Dude, way to add to it too. Like their disgust towards her, like she drops like a little bandage in the turkey, and the kid's just like Ew. Way to write that like in the script. Wow, that's crazy.
No
Yeah.
wonder, like she was like cleaning it up and stuff. So it like that's something like she was actually doing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, what you were saying, Dan, is the fact that this was so personal to Trey. Like, I'll just give my personal experience with this. I don't have this problem, but my brother does, and kind of my sister as well. It's sadly, I feel like it's rare to have a family this large have a get together. My dad's side of the family, like kind of you were saying, Dan, like extended family, I really don't have it there. It's more, even my wife's family, it's very close and intimate. She doesn't really hang out with her aunts and uncles that much. Just her brother and sister, and maybe an aunt and uncle there. But the fact that there's so many people here, when my dad's side of the family, that's really non-existent. My dad was like his mom was married like 3 times. His dad was married 3 times. I found out. I mean, this is pretty personal, but I found out that my papaw and my grandmother on that side got married to different partners before they were married to their eventual partner, which I came to know when I was like 25. I had not realized that they both got remarried and divorced when I was like an infant. Had no clue. I don't even know if I was born yet. Anyway, so my dad doesn't ever have anything like this when we go to Kentucky, where he's from. But when it comes to Michigan, my mom's family every single year has a huge Christmas gathering, which is cool. It's I think any family whatsoever is, even if they're not the best in the world, it's good to have that just there, just in case. But when it came to my personal family, my close family's relationship with my extended family on my mom's side, there was always a little bit of hesitancy there because none of her family. So my grandmother has 5 children. None of her family moved away from, this is Ann Arbor, Michigan, except my mother. And my mother moved away and went up north. So just even having that move there, I think adds some separation into the family in general. Like, you moved away from us. You didn't have to
Like
do that. But
resentment.
also the fact growing up, my grandmother and my grandfather were very Catholic. And I don't think necessarily right now that all my grandmother's family is Catholic, but the fact that right when we moved, my mother and father, it's a little bit different now, but they got very Christian and they just lived life differently when they were younger into their relationship. So the fact that we, growing up, lived our lives a little bit differently than them, and the fact that we moved away, whenever we had those reunions, it always provided this uncomfortable space that really has affected my brother and sister, not me personally. I don't see, the way that my grandmother looks at my mom, or maybe the way that my cousins like their other aunts more than my mother, because she was never there growing up. Like, I give you a personal experience. I mean, none of my family's ever going to watch this, but we had this. My grandmother. I'm getting so personal on this podcast, but I think it's a good conversation to have because I think Krisha can apply to a lot of people's lives, not even having to do with addiction. But there was this surprise that my grandmother said, "Hey, we're going on a family trip, right?" And in order for the family to bond to one another, the cousins, they get to choose which aunt or uncle they want to go in a van with. My cousins blurted out other aunts besides my mother right away. It's because they didn't grow up with my mother. And to my mom, that's hurtful. They're not trying to be like that. They just don't have a personal relationship with her. So just having, like, family reunions, I think no matter how big or how small the family is, you have one person, unfortunately, that might be always looking on the outside. And to put that in a movie, I really personally connected with that because my family, even though I don't necessarily feel that way, is Krisha. Like, luckily, thankfully, we don't have anybody who's addicted to anything, who's battling the problems that she's battling in this. But there's always someone on the outside looking in. And I think that anybody can relate to this movie, and it's probably the most relatable movie out of anything that Trey has done. Sorry, that was a huge tangent.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I think that's what most of his films feel like they're going for. Besides possibly, well, Hurry Up Tomorrow, kind of, I guess, with the whole mental health thing. But yeah, I think relatability is what Trey's going for. So I don't know. I was able to relate with some things with obviously my own personal family things as well going on, and obviously, like I mentioned earlier, losing my mother. I don't think I've ever really healed from that. So to see her kind of express how it started with her mother, I believe that's what she was saying throughout the movie. Like, it started from there. So it was bittersweet. I didn't have a bad relationship at all with my mother, thankfully. Like, I used to call her like literally every day when I would go like on lunch. So yeah, it was tough seeing that, like at the end of it all. It made me feel like regret because I'm like, did I call her enough? But knowing I called her all the time and would visit her off a lot of times, I still felt like regretful by the end of it all. So good shit, Trey.
Yeah, I think that's something that maybe can apply to you too. Is maybe after you lost your mother, that very first like huge family reunion you had, like you were kind of that person that people were like, when do I talk to him? What do I say when I talk to him? Something like that. So like I said, you could take addiction and just the awkwardness of Krisha being there, and you can apply it to so many real life scenarios when it comes to a family reunion.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, family reunions are thankfully I don't have it's never like I think the problem for my family is that it's not separate. It's like once everybody gets together, it's just chaotic. Yeah, because we're all mainly like we're all Cubans, so yeah, it gets pretty insane.
Dan, what's the mentality of your family when you're together and the Eagles lose?
Bruh.
They'll win
We
next
don't
week.
lose, they win.
They rarely lose.
There goes that never happens, man. We're always living life great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, do you guys think that this is his best movie? I mean,
No.
we might be, oh, you think the next one is, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, both
I
of you.
agree.
Okay, we can get into it.
Slightly.
It Comes at Night, which is, I think, one of the most famous mismarketed movies of all time. Everyone was really disappointed when they saw this movie because they were trying to figure out. I mean, everyone's like, "What is out there? It's in a post-apocalyptic world. What is coming to them? What are they scared of?" And you never get that. But the synopsis of this movie is secure within a desolate home as an unnatural threat terrorizes the world. A man has established a tenuous domestic order with his wife and son, but this will soon be put to the test when a desperate young family arrives seeking refuge. The cast is Joel Edgerton, Christopher Abbott, which was cool to see in this because I know this is probably one of his earliest roles. Carmen Ajugo, Riley Keough, and
Kia.
Kelvin Harris. How do you say it?
Kia.
Oh, she was also the voice in Hurry Up Tomorrow.
I
on the-
saw that.
on
I
the
saw
phone.
that. Yeah, and then Kelvin Harrison Jr. as well. So this was an interesting follow up to Krisha because me and you were talking about it, Fabian, before we get on here. Hurry Up Tomorrow feels so strange for Trey to tackle because his first three films have to do with family and family dynamics and how we can influence our relatives in a positive way or a negative way. And this was just putting it in a post-apocalyptic horror movie, which I thought was, I think the right next step for him. All of these were produced by A24, I believe, as well, or distributed by A24, rather than Hurry Up Tomorrow. But yeah, what comes at night, Dan? What is it that comes at night? Did people ever figure that out?
I mean, I think what comes at night is paranoia and fear and mistrust and all those things that like kind of tear people apart. And I think it's just a movie about humanity. Trey I think made this or wrote this after his dad died. All his movies, like I want to see this man make something happy. Like all his movies just seem to be coming out of such a like tough place, and I feel like, I think his work has really gone downhill, to be honest. Like as he's gone, like not exactly, but like, so I don't know. Maybe I kind of want to see him. Maybe he needs to get in a better headspace. I don't know. I hope he's doing all right. But this stuff is all pretty dark. But yeah, I think he's trying to say a lot about like how people treat each other and like what you said, Stone, is spot on. Like I'm glad I wasn't on there was no TikTok, whatever, when this came out, because I'm sure the discourse would have been fucking awful. People would be like, oh, there's no jump scares. It's not scary. Like, and ignored, all the merits of the movie. So I'm glad that wasn't a thing at the time.
Do you think that's more on the audience or the people who put together the trailer? Is it mismarketed? Like, is it like if you say Hurry Up Tomorrow will show find out what's next for the weekend on Hurry Up Tomorrow, like what his next persona will be, and then you never get that. Really, you don't know if he's going to make music ever again. So if you marketed the film that way, like that, I feel like that's what the trailers were insinuating. Like, what is behind this red door? What is coming in? What is this terror? Who is that on? Is that on the audience for thinking that they were going? Even the title of the film itself.
Yeah, but but that's like it's literally the point of the movie. No, like
Yeah.
the point of the movie is to subvert your expectation. Like I don't like again, it's like I think it's on us to look at the objective reality of whatever a movie is, and then try to meet it there and deal with it. Like, so yeah, I would say just like people. I was reading reviews. I've seen people like on IMDb and stuff, or like whatever Google, like rating this 1 star. And it's like, first of all, you're just like, it has a sad ending and that made me mad, so it's bad. Like, it's just stupid shit like that. Or like, it wasn't scary. Like, you're not engaging with the movie, right? You're just like giving some kind of emotional response. Like, so I think like, yeah, I would put it on the audience.
Yeah, I think I mean, I was never around for like when the trailer first dropped and everything. I remember seeing this movie, but I wasn't at the point in my life with cinema as to like where I'm at now, you know, really focusing on a lot of the things that happened. So when I rewatched it, I think what I took away from it a lot from the film was how society will treat each other in those kind of moments. It's like like no matter how bad your family may be or how infected your family's gonna be or whatever, you're still gonna protect them. You're still gonna, put them above anybody else, even though the other people are safe or not infected or whatever. So I really enjoyed what Trey was saying there, as far as like how family dynamics can be in those tough situations. Also, especially like with the whole COVID era, even though this came before that, it kind of reminded me of that. But I really like what he did with Kelvin's character, and how he like made that kind of a whole sleeping thing as well, but also it was physical, it was real. I don't know. There's a lot to like take in. I'm still like, because I just saw it yesterday, so like I still have like so much just going on right now. There's a lot. There's a lot to take
Personally,
in from that.
there's one plot point of this I don't like, and it's the fact that when this new family comes into their home and is living there and they become friends with them, is the fact that Kevin Harrison Jr.'s character becomes fascinated and infatuated with the female that comes into the picture, the wife of Christopher Abbott. I don't think that was necessary.
Kim,
I think, what?
Kim,
Kim, is that her name?
the female, yeah.
I said the female, my bad. Sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't have it popped up. But anyways, yeah, so he becomes like kind of obsessed with her and like listens to them having sex, and he is a young teenage boy. I think he's like, I don't even know, maybe like 17, 18, 19. That's how old he's supposed to be here. I don't think that was necessary. I think that added a lot of, I think the reason why that was included was to fabricate some dreams that the character had, because he's dreaming all the time, has nightmares. And what's interesting is when you see at the very end of this movie, I think that some of those dreams are reality, which is the cool part that you find out at the very end. But some of them involve her. And I think just her being there in the first place is to add like horror scenes. Like there's this moment where she's on top of him and just dripping black goo into his mouth. Obviously, the reason why she's in that state, or the reason why he is projecting her in that state, is because he is obsessed with her. And then there's this really, it's my least favorite scene of the entire movie. It's this awkward moment where she's sitting at a kitchen table and he is also there, and he's just like crushing on her the entire time, and she's just trying to be nice to him. It felt very like a different movie, and I don't necessarily know how anything his obsession towards her, I don't know how that adds to the plot. And I think if you really ripped that out of this, it's just like, oh, you can just say, oh, a teenage boy is just obviously, he hasn't been with a girl in a long time. There's a post-apocalyptic world going on out there. So when an attractive woman, even if she's taken, comes into his life, he's gonna be like, yo, she's pretty fine. Yeah, this wasn't a bad deal, Dad. But if you rip that out, I don't think the movie changes at all. If you just don't have that, and his feelings towards her, which I think that, like I said, I don't know. I didn't really feel it. Also, it made me not like his character. Like, you can say he's a teenage guy, but also morally, bro, you just invited him. She has a kid. I know you're young. You're 18, 19, but she has a kid and a husband. Back the fuck off. Really, calm yourself down. But I think that's easier said than done. But
Yeah, I mean, we can't. I don't think we can like morally judge the movie for that. Like, but
morally judge the character, not the movie, but the character. I'm like, I don't. He's kind of becomes the main character throughout the film, so it makes me not like him if you do that with him.
I don't think the movie cares if you like any of these people. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about being more real. I think that's what it is. It's real, and it's also like, I mean, presenting them without, like, he would probably think that, and I think it's also gets into the idea of, and with that dream sequence of like the black goo or whatever, like, this is a time where like any kind of physical touch or intimacy or anything is like dangerous, and there's like a sickness, etc. I think like thinking about that is interesting, and it's something that people would think about, while at the same time, like, they're so isolated, they're so lonely, they're so alone, and he is like 18 whatever. So like, I think like kind of pushing those two things back and forth against each other is like real, and I think what he's trying to do here is like look at people in a way that's not flattering, and like, these are not characters you probably want to like, they're not like really heroic, they're just kind of existing in this world, and I think you got to try to like take it at face value for like what this version of reality is, and how like dangerous and scary it is.
Yeah, I think that that was definitely like a point of it. It's like you're so isolated and you have no one around you. So it's like the first kind of, what is it? Like, it's kind of like an infatuation type of thing. It's like a lust that he gets a rush of that lust like in that moment. So I think that's what they were going for a little bit with him in that scenario. But yeah, all this is dark. I don't think you're supposed to like one family or the other. None of them are really like they're making a good decision for their own family, but ultimately it's not a good decision for either of them, because they're just gonna kill each other. So it's like, you just gotta survive basically. But it was interesting. I would love for Trey to stay within the horror genre. I feel like he has a lot to say there, especially because he's like in a good headspace now. He's like married and stuff, apparently, I think, or he had a kid or something. So if he's not gonna relate to, those dark characters or that dark past anymore, like, dive into horror. Like, there's so much you can do with that.
It's interesting too with this and Waves. He has Kelvin Harrison Jr. in like a similar spot of like dealing with a father that is kind of oppressive, and I think it's a lot more interesting and nuanced here than it is in Waves, and like, they feel more human in this than just like stereotyped kind of rigid characters. But it's definitely interesting that he did that. I also think Christopher Abbott is so good in this. He's a good actor. And I wish he got, and Riley Keough. I mean, I think everyone's good in this. But yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that he kept Kelvin in a similar sort of role, but I think he's more sympathetic here, obviously, than he is in Waves.
I don't know. It took me a second to do some research afterwards. I don't know if it was completely obvious to you guys, but the fact that Kelvin Harrison's Jr.'s like character was the guy that was infected all along. I didn't realize that while watching the film. But I think it's such a good, like you said, Dan. I think the overbearing father element of this doesn't feel as stereotypical as it does in Waves, because the fact that you're worried about this outside virus coming in, and you're so worried about the outside world that you don't necessarily realize that it's right here all along, like in your own family. And not only does it cause the death of another family and yourselves, but it also causes you not to have a connection with your son in the first place. Like, if you would just talk to him for 3 seconds, maybe possibly you would realize that he is infected. And you seem like a good person, right? You're just trying to protect your family. You probably wouldn't have invited Christopher Abbott to come and see you in the first place. You would have realized that your whole family was down the shitter, blatantly. So yeah, I just realizing that, and like I said, some of the dreams are true, are some real, some of them are not real, and I think he more than likely went outside and found the dog, and the dog. I don't think the dog was infected. I think the dog got into a fight with another dog out there, or was getting attacked by something, and he dragged the dog back inside, and that's why the door was open in the first place. But
Yeah,
he
it
got
sounded
it
like a
from
cat or
the
something.
grandfather character. I think that's where he got sick from, was the grandfather. And I saw this whole Reddit, YouTube comment rabbit hole that I went down, was the fact that they do mention for a split second that his grandfather was sleepwalking before all hell broke loose with him, and you saw the physical transformation of the disease. So if you realize that Kelvin Harrison Jr. is sleepwalking as well, ding ding ding, it connects the fact that, yo, this is a guy who's actually sick.
Yeah, and I like that the movie is like ambiguous about when he gets sick and how he gets sick, and it like almost doesn't matter. It just like is willing to just, and I enjoy that aspect of it. Um, and I think maybe also the answer to like what comes at night is like dreams. I think dreams are important throughout this, and that also plays into the sleepwalking that, you know, also gives you that ambiguity in the sense of what's real, what's not, what's actually happening here. So it's definitely a really upsetting movie, but I think like, you know, if you can work past that, it has a lot to say. I think this is his most complete movie in my opinion. I think it's his best, and I like I said, I would like to see him get back closer to Krisha and this, and like those more tight personal stories where he can really focus. Because I think as he's kind of tried to expand and get more, like I would say, self-indulgent with how he's making his movies, and like I just feel like he's losing sight of what actually made his first two movies work, and that is the storytelling and the characters and the actual thematic depth without telling you that it's deep. So
Yeah, I think he's like slowly realizing. I hope he's realized already that just because you have more budget, just because you have the skill, I guess, you know, to do 360 spins, like you don't
doesn't
like,
make the movie better.
Yeah, it's not like just tell the story. My favorite thing about In Comes at Night is that even though it is all about the infected, it's like they don't focus on them getting infected. Like you just see that with the scenes in his head when he sees himself, but like you don't see nobody turning, like besides like basically the beginning, you don't see anybody turning into anything. So I think that definitely like his most fascinating film that I've seen. And I hope he gets back to this. Like I said, I think horror is like his bread and butter. I think this is something that he should definitely just keep on tackling.
I love how you had that one little moment though where him and Christopher, or Joel Edgerton and Christopher Abbott, like just blow those two guys away. It's like, it kind of reminds you that you're just in this post-apocalyptic movie. They're just like, oh yeah, they just don't trust these guys. They're trying to fire at them. I thought that was just a really interesting. I mean, I guess it's very important because it shows that Joel Edgerton can, you know, trust this guy and bring him his life. But I just thought that was like the most you get of like a post-apocalyptic world in this. But I was like, oh yeah, there's two other guys out there somewhere.
Yeah, then everything is just like back into the family, like the meat of the film, I guess.
Yeah. Watch you say the fact of, you know, he needs to get back to intimate stories, you know, with a family, and he directs the next X-Men.
Oh my God, no. No.
It seems like something they would do.
Please no.
The Weeknd plays Magneto or something.
Oh my God. He gets his hair back and his hair has powers now.
I also just wanted to say, I think Joel Edgerton doesn't get talked about.
Yep.
He's so fucking good. And like he's been in so much stuff.
Yep.
He was in The King, he was in The Green Knight, he was in he just did The Boys in the Boat, which people like. He was in The Great Gatsby, Zero Dark 30, Warrior. Like he also did a movie.
He was in The Thing. Oh, that was him, the main character, no?
I didn't see the new
Thing, yeah.
Oh, that's a new one? Oh, okay. I thought that was him. Wait, so he looks just like that guy then.
I just think he's really, really solid, and I love when he pops up and stuff, but he doesn't get much buzz.
I know you love The Stranger too, right? He's in that, right, Dan?
I did love that. I started reading about that movie and how they made that, and I think they made that without the permission of like the families that person heard or something. Like there was something wrong with how they made that movie. And I was reading more about it, and it's like actually pretty fucked. And I think people were really upset about it. It is a good movie, but I would tell people to check out that because I think there is a story there.
Have you guys ever seen The Gift? That's a movie. That's a movie I wanted to watch for a long time. I just haven't gotten around to it. But
Yeah, it is on Netflix, I believe.
yeah, it's like just the guy just like he's like a neighbor, just like shows up and won't leave him alone or something.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it.
Joel Edgerton is what Luke's uncle in the prequel trilogy. You got a little bit of him in Star Wars, just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's it. He's just in episode. Oh, he's in episode 2 too.
Oh, and Lars, yeah.
But I'm glad you guys like it. I mean, the more I think about this movie, is there anything you don't like? I feel like I'm the only one who had a personal gripe with it. Is there anything you guys don't like?
I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's paced perfectly. I think like some of it can be a little bit monotonous and a little bit of a drag. Something we didn't talk about is like I love the house and how it feels. It feels very strange. They talked about wanting to make it like the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, and like the idea of never knowing exactly where you are in the house and like how it's laid out. Yeah, and it's very bizarre and surreal. There is like a surrealness to the movie, and it plays into that kind of dream aspect. But yeah, I don't think it's perfect. And it is. I mean, it flirts with like I think stuff can be so dour and drab that it like almost becomes comical with how dark it is. Like, and it flirts with that. I think Waves fully goes into that, but I think the ending feels again pretty real to me, so I'm okay with it. But yeah, it's like a strong 3.5 light 4 to me.
Yeah, I think definitely like you mentioned the pacing. I think the pacing more at the beginning. It doesn't well besides like the beginning scene, it doesn't necessarily like grab you like reel you in as it should. I would like it to be a little more have been a little bit more thrilling overall, like as a whole. And I would say I'm not the biggest fan of the wife's acting in the film. It was like I said, like when it came to the father side of things, like I understood a lot more and I felt a lot more there.
She definitely takes a back seat in general as a character, I think.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Which I think partially is the point because I think it's supposed to very much be like they all kind of defer to the patriarch and he's in control, but like
yeah.
I think that the wife character I think perfectly is kind of fittingly the same in Waves as well. That's like one issue I had with it is that the wife character seems kind of forgotten about, in my opinion. And it is the dominating dad that takes the focus of the movie. But we can get into that guy if you want. I think this is maybe his Trey's most popular film before whatever becomes of Hurry Up Tomorrow. We'll see what that'll be. But yeah, this is let me give the synopsis real quick. But it's a pretty common story. I feel like a controlling father's attempt to ensure that his 2 children succeed in high school backfires after his son experiences a career-ending sports injury. Their familial bonds are eventually placed under severe strain by an unexpected tragedy. And we've mentioned it, but it also stars Kelvin Harrison Jr. along with Taylor Russell, which is a huge fan favorite of Connor's.
Connor.
I love her. I don't know what movie did it, man, but he was like obsessed with her. But Sterling K. Brown, Renee Elise Goldsberry, who I knew her from Hamilton. I love Hamilton a whole lot, and she's got a beautiful voice. She doesn't sing in this. Maybe she should have been in Hurry Up Tomorrow, but she's great in Hamilton. Lucas Hedges and Alexa Demie she's from Euphoria, right?
Euphoria, yeah.
I would say I haven't seen Euphoria, but I've seen clips of it, and I was like, she looks familiar.
She cannot act.
Okay.
Yeah, she's also a bit of a pedophile because I don't know if you ever seen the movie Mid-90s, but she kisses this kid, and I think at the time she I don't know, I would have to confirm, but she was much older than him, and he was pretty young. And Jonah Hill was behind like the producing, I believe, and stuff. And yeah,
That's
you
so
could look
odd.
into it, Dan. It's weird stuff.
I would say
He's
one thing I
also
don't like.
literally can't act at all. So
Just thinking about this one moment though, I will say this is calls back to something I wanted to talk about, Krisha. Something I don't like that don't include in your movies. There's this one moment. I don't. It doesn't look like a fake dog where Krisha shakes a dog. I don't care. I don't care if it's relevant to the plot. I don't. I don't care that that's a dog and not a human. Don't fucking shake a dog, a real live dog's head like that in front of me. I was like 4.5 because I have it at 4.5. Well, four.
Two
Don't do
stars.
that again. Yeah, you're feeling like I feel this emotional connection with Krisha until she did that, and I'm like, not a chance. There's not a chance that I would do that. Anyways, so yeah, Waves. We talked about it. It's the most family oriented movie that maybe Trey has. I know Krisha deals with that a lot, but
I would
this
say
is-
it's probably Krisha because the whole thing is family dynamic. This half this movie is Lucas and the daughter.
it's the most intimate family story, I guess, because it's just one family in particular that they're really diving into and really trying to flesh out more characters than possibly they've ever done in one of his films, I would say. Because obviously you get a lot with the dad, you get a lot with the brother, and then you get a lot with the sister here. So it is just more of the same, but it's more broad, I would say, and more experimental than any of his other movies, even with the horror aspect, because you do have something that was unexpected to me when I was watching it. The fact that this feels like two movies completely split up. Was not expecting that. Was not expecting to go, especially with how little Taylor Russell's character is highlighted in the first act of this film. I did not expect us to go
Not
on.
at all. Yeah, zero.
Not at all, which is, I think, an issue with the movie in general.
Yeah,
Was not expecting that, but I don't know. Morally, I was talking to my brother about this movie yesterday, right? And Dan, you hit it. Head on when you were talking about it in your review. The fact that do you sympathize with people who have done acts in the past? Like, there's two characters in this. Obviously, the lead of the film for the first half, but then you have Lucas Hedges' father figure, who becomes more prevalent at the very end of the movie, and Lucas Hedges seems like he forgives him for the atrocities that he did to himself, but also his mother. And I was thinking about it. It's tough because is the character of Tyler an abusive person? Like, is he a horrible, awful person?
Yes.
It's just, yeah. I maybe
The problem with this movie, what do we know about Tyler as a character? Like if you took a whiteboard and you wrote down Tyler, who is Tyler? What are the attributes that define this person? He likes to work out and look at himself in the mirror as he lifts. He likes to wrestle, or maybe he doesn't. I don't know. He wrestles. He, I think, is a good student, and he has a girlfriend. Then we get into his negative. What are his positive traits? Why should I feel anything about Tyler?
that's
Or just a trait. What are his traits as a human being? Like
Yeah.
I think that
it's
maybe
the
that's the
writing
point of the
is so
story.
bad.
Maybe that's the point of the story is that he is a character. Maybe that I mean I get what you're saying because if that is the point of the story, then you don't know him on a personal level, or who he is as a person. So you don't feel any sympathy for him when we're expected to feel sympathy for him. But I think it's the fact that he is a stereotypical high school student who is a product of his environment, whether it's his girlfriend, whether it's sports, whether it's his father. So he doesn't necessarily know who he is as an individual, especially when a sports injury, because the sports injury is like it, right? That severs his ties with what he thought his career was going to be. It also causes him, understandably, to be emotionally in distress and not talk to his girlfriend. And then it causes his father, who's put so much, who's an awful person, and that's another person, along with the lead and Lucas Hedges' dad, that he's terrible too. And do you feel any? Was he a reason why? It's the same reason you think about when you think of It Comes at Night, right? The whole everything, half of that movie with the other half of the family with Christopher Abbott could have been prevented if Joel Edgerton looked at himself and his family and actually spoke with his son and realized what was going on mentally and physically with him. And you have Sterling K. Brown here, who's kind of in the same scenario, who's so focused on his career and bettering himself and having a better life because of possibly the racism that has happened in his past with his father. And he didn't get as good of a life as Sterling K. Brown is trying to have, that he's trying to translate in over his kids. So the lead just feels like unfortunately a product of the circumstances around him, and he doesn't feel like a person. But maybe that's the point of it. But then I don't know. It's just, did he mean to do what he did? No, but sometimes that's just how life is, and you fucked up, and you deserve the penalty for it.
Yeah, of course.
But like, I don't care. Like, if you punch a pregnant woman in the face, like you mean to do her damage, you know. So like, when you strike someone, you're responsible for what happens to them. Like, if you get in a bar fight and you hit someone, they fall and hit their head on a stool, and then they get a brain bleed and die, like you go to jail for murder, manslaughter probably, but like you murdered that person. Like, it is an indefensible action, right? Like, and not just that, like he shoves his father, who he knows has a fucked up knee and can't defend himself. He berates his mom awfully for no reason except her being like, "What are you doing?" He treats his girlfriend like shit when she finds out she's pregnant and calls her a bitch and like basically says like get an abort. Like he's there's nothing redeemable about this person. I literally hope that he just stays in jail for forever. Just stay in there, bro. Like, figure it the fuck out. Like, what? And it's baffling when you then set up the second half of this movie with this weird like white savior character. That's what this character is, and then you get him reflecting on his own dad, who was also an abusive piece of shit. And it's like, let's go feel sorry for him and hold his hand as he died. Like, fuck that guy. Why should I don't care about Lucas Hedges' character. Why in the fuck would I care about his dad? Like, it's a truly baffling movie, and then the ending is trying so hard to like pull at your heartstrings and be like, isn't this touching? No, it's not touching. I don't care about anything you've done for the last 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's so odd.
It's funny because I thought Taylor Russell had the right outlook about her brother. Like, she's sitting down there with a very quiet moment with her father. He's like, "Man, I fucked up," and she's like, "Yeah, you fucked up, but also he fucked up, and I hate him. I hate him for what he did." I was like, "Cool, yeah, that makes sense. Why you don't like him? That completely makes sense." And then I didn't realize in that moment he convinced her to kind of forgive him. He's like, "Dude, it's about love. Like, he's your brother. Shit happens." And then she goes, and I think that's when she has the idea for her boyfriend. We're like, "Hey, you should go and see your dad, because life's more than holding people responsible for their actions. Family outweighs everything, no matter who they are and what they've done." I'm like, what? I thought that would have been really interesting. Something different if she like convinced Lucas Hedges, no, like, don't go and see him. Like, we have. Imagine if the movie did that. Imagine if it went against something safe and was like, no, people need to be held responsible for their actions, and that was kind of the message of this movie. That these other people who have been done wrong are more important sometimes than your blood relations. But it didn't go that route. Which, yeah, the Lucas Hedges thing I thought was very strange. And I'll let you talk, Fabian. I know you haven't said anything, but for me personally, I didn't see the white savior element of it because that's just not how I'm programmed, I guess. But it's the fact that you have obviously the sister, even though her brother's a piece of shit, is going through this emotional turmoil in her life. Her parents are having troubles. She's having, inner conflict because of everything that's going on. And you just, I guess it makes sense because she's in high school, but she just finds, no matter what color he is, but she finds comfort in a boyfriend after we've seen such a toxic relationship in the first act of this movie. I thought maybe there's something else in a teenager's life besides being in a relationship. Like, they can find salvation in other ways rather than, I really like this guy and he's really cute and let's just have an adventure together. That felt so boring to me and felt like it doesn't take a lot of smarts to write that into a script. In fact, like, yeah, she probably just finds a guy and gets over it. Like, that's so lazy in my opinion.
Yeah, you could go ahead, Dan, if you
I
want.
was just gonna say, like, the movie we'll start with the second part of what you said. The movie doesn't give enough time to the family processing what happened to Tyler. It's like Trey's literally like, okay, I have to make a scene now where they talk about the fact that Tyler murdered his pregnant girlfriend and is in jail and like shattered our entire family, and then it's like, okay, let's go back to this stupid ass romance. And like I said, the white savior thing, because you have a white writer director writing the most stereotypical, brainless, violent black teenager, right? This is a stereotype. Like with a father who is too hard on him and doesn't have feelings, doesn't process his emotions. Like then you have that juxtaposed with Lucas Hedges' character, who's nice and perfect and like basically like a Mary Sue character that has nothing wrong with him, who comes in and like settles down the whole movie.
Dude, they have no chemistry, by the way. I was just
No.
like, I'm not feeling this. I think she's gonna like get up and leave. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're so like.
They dated in
I'm
real
like,
life after this, which blew my mind because they have no, but they actually ended up in a real relationship because of this movie, which like
That's crazy.
uh,
Yeah, he had no sauce. I don't know how he got it.
It wasn't Trey's writing. I'll tell you that.
yeah.
Oh.
So that's why I feel like it's a bit odd to have his character in such a stark contrast to Tyler, when the writer director is white, but then also wrote this movie about his own life with a black family.
I was going to ask you, how much of this is his life? Like,
he's described this as partially autobiographical. And again, like if I go write a movie about myself, I'm not going to get a Korean family that I don't know shit about their experience to be me. Like, why would you do? It's just bizarre. And like Sterling K. Brown talked about this at length and said, like, yeah, I wasn't sure if I wanted to make this movie because I think it's kind of weird, but eventually he was like talked into it, and like people were like, oh, well, he thought it was fine, so how can he? Like, the character can still suck. He is still doing marketing for a movie. He's not gonna bash on it. Like Tyler, he said when he was doing promotion, I was worried Tyler's character wouldn't feel like a fleshed out person and would just feel like a stereotype, which is exactly what happened, right? There's no layers to him. The sympathy that they're acting like is there for this character is not conveyed, in my opinion. So like that was his concern. That's what I think happened, and then people are expecting him to say that in promotion. Like, I feel like if you talk to Sterling K. Brown now, he might be like, yeah, that was not great. And I just think it was a strange move from Trey. Like, I don't, again, yeah, I just, that's how I feel. But Fabian, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I was like, even now, like thinking about it, like I really do want to drop it down to a 2.5 because it's like Trey's doing this thing where even with Hurry Up Tomorrow, it's like it needs to have relatability. If you don't, or if you have never seen those situations, because I've seen those situations. I've seen people like hit me up like, hey, this girl blocked me. What do I do? What do I like? I've experienced that. I've seen people go through that. I've seen the way it mentally fucks them up just being blocked by their partner. So I somewhat get it. I get what was going on. I get what was going on with Tyler. But then when you start adding in Tyler the Creator's "I fucking hate you" and he punches the wall, and it's like
we didn't even talk about the music. Oh my god, bro.
Yeah, it's like the music didn't make any sense. What was that song?
This movie should have had zero music in it.
There's
so many songs that play. I just thought just that decision, because it's supposed to be it's trying to be very, very serious, and playing like how many songs are played in this, like it has a soundtrack. It feels like more of a coming of age movie, which makes sense for maybe the second half of this, but not the first. Why am I listening to any of this during the first? The first is just like, it should be silent, and you should feel the weight of the circumstances that are happening on the screen. Why are we playing Tyler the Creator right now? I don't need that. I know what's going on. You don't need to play music that's telling me what's going on.
Every song he picked was like literally a direct representation of what's happening on the screen, and that is just like, it's painful. And like the thing is, like, my number one thing with any movie is like immersion, right? Like, I think a good movie lets you sit in the movie and not be like, I'm watching a movie. Like, stuff I don't like, it's constantly like, I critique things in a lot of different ways, but it boils down to, is this reminding me that I'm watching something? And like, when he's sitting there on the beach and he's fucking up, and then we get Backseat Freestyle playing, and then he's singing the lyrics, and it's like, he doesn't understand that Kendrick made that as a satire about, like, this is not how I should be acting, and the character's a moron. And it's like, yeah. And then you zoom in on his face, and he keeps singing, and it's like, this is just painful. Like, and you get the you know, I'm a God, like the Kanye song, like
Oh,
it's just
yeah, but I think what I definitely did like the most was the way he handled how, because um Tyler and what's Taylor Russell's character's name? I forgot. Um,
her
yeah,
name
they're
is
forgettable. They're forgettable characters.
Emily. Yeah.
Yeah, Emily. So they're like parallels, right? So it's like you're just supposed to see how the grief, because they kind of get away from that. You don't necessarily find out like that's a stepmom. Like you kind of get a point of it because he calls her by her first name, but then like eventually they have that scene where he pushes him down and he's like, "You're my stepmom," and it's like, okay, like I get the grief, I get how it can affect one and then the other differently. I get that, but it's like if this is not relatable to people, because my oldest son, he's 8 and you know he's really figuring himself out, um and his mom came into his life. She wasn't a part of his life for like 5 years, and then she came into his life fairly recently, and but she kind of puts a lot of negativity in his mind, and she talks poorly a lot of like about my wife for no reason. So it shifts him as a person, my son. So it's like he kind of has like resentment towards my wife for no reason. So their relationship, it's rocky. So right now he's like in therapy and everything. So like I said, that's why I'm able to see I'm able to understand what he's telling. But the way you're telling it is like it's basic, because not everyone knows that. Not everyone has felt that. It's like you're not doing anything, especially with Taylor Russell's like storyline, is just saying, oh, she handling the grief differently. Like, you know, she's in a better headspace.
Well, I would say something with your personal experience you just gave. Do you think that's poorly written in the film then? Because obviously, with your son's mother coming into the situation and putting those things in his mind, it makes sense, unfortunately, why he would treat your wife maybe a little bit differently. There's nothing, because it seems like Tyler's mom has not been in this situation for like his entire life. So there's not a person like that in his life to make that outburst happen. So that's what, I think maybe that's what you're saying. And that's
so he's just,
like,
yeah, he's just bad. That's it. So it's like, he's just naturally bad. That's all you're trying to say. Like, there's nothing else that's making him bad. His dad, even though his dad kind of cares about himself, his dad is still there. Like, you know, it could even be even more stereotypical if his dad was not in the picture, but his dad is there. So it's like,
yeah, and like he also has a good life. Like they have a nice,
yes, they have a big ass house.
Like he's a kid that like he doesn't. It's not like he needs to be wrestling to like provide for his Like he's gonna stay in school and probably go to college. Like his life will move on. It's not his only out. Like they have the financial means. Like
yes, even if he had the baby,
it's just baffling. He's like so selfish, and it's just like. You could have just given me something else to this character to make me feel anything interesting. Like it's.
Now that we're discussing it with their finances, there's like an interesting dynamic between him and his wife and their occupations. It seems like, especially when Tyler, you know, has the incident and we see what's going on with the husband and wife towards the second half of the movie, it seems like Sterling K. Brown's character is in a way helping his wife's business and allowing it to thrive, because I think there's a moment where Tyler is doing something for his mother, and Shirley K. Brown's like, no, you need to do it this way, and he's like, no, mom told me to do it this way. He's like, no, that won't work. Trust me, listen to me, do it this way. This will help her succeed. And I think financially, Sterling K. Brown, in the second half is like, we're falling apart. And I think it's because no longer is he helping his wife with her, because he's like a contractor, right? He works in construction. That looks like what he does. It seems like because their relationship isn't good anymore, his wife is having trouble with her job because he's no longer a part of it. And I think that was very demoralizing to her as a character, to say like she's only in the position that she's in because her husband, husband and wives work together as a team all the time. But I think that just is a little bit misogynistic to be like, she cannot succeed without him, and because they don't have a perfect family. Like my wife would be completely fine if I wasn't in the picture. Like she's a capable adult. So I thought that was a weird inclusion that kind of started to fall apart at the very end because of everything with Tyler's character.
Yeah, that I think they said that was actually her business. So, and then he was like, I guess running it for her. She didn't know necessarily. I don't get it. How can you have a business and you're not knowing how to run it?
See, I didn't like that inclusion at all.
Like,
At all.
I don't know, man. It's maybe if they say like, oh, she's a rich woman who had stuff passed down to her. Like, if you mention stuff like that, yeah. But she seems like a sweet lady who's just being like beaten over the head by her stepson. Like, that's all I got from her. There's nothing more.
Why do you guys think people rate this movie so highly?
Vibes, bro. Vibes.
Yeah.
I think that the more I've thought about it, even though Harmony Korine is the filmmaker behind the movie, I think that a film that knows it's just vibes and it's trying to be that is the movie Spring Breakers, which is, again, I believe in South Florida. I think that I see a lot of Spring Breakers in this film, like what it's trying to channel and the atmosphere of just being in high school and just living life, even though you're a troubled teenager. I don't think that fits. Like, this is a lot of Hurry Up Tomorrow you can see in this movie, and that aesthetically it makes sense for Hurry Up Tomorrow because you have The Weeknd and his music, and that helps channel the atmosphere that you're creating. But when it comes to such a serious film like Waves, I don't think that you needed. You can even make it like dark, like it comes at night. You didn't need to make it precursor to Hurry Up Tomorrow. So you don't need to make this movie feel like South Florida. You can make it feel like It Comes at Night or Krisha, and you can make it feel like a very serious drama. And instead of adding scenes where it's late night and you're just driving through Miami, make it a conversation between the daughter, who literally has no time in this film until the second half of it, and the son and the parents. You don't need all of what you're trying to do. I think he's getting more comfortable with filmmaking, so he's like, let me try to do something really fun and different, because this does feel bigger. It feels bigger than It Comes at Night. It feels bigger than Krisha. So I think he gets kind of lost in the sauce, but people really like that sauce. Like, it's ranch, which I get it. Like, but make sure it's thick ranch, because thin ranch ain't the play here. But I think that's why people really like it.
Two people, like, do you guys know who the two teachers are in this movie, actor-wise?
I know it's his aunt. I'm looking at it right here.
The
It's one of them.
Harmony Korine is in the movie. He plays Mr. Stanley. It's
In this movie?
And then the other one is
and
then the other one is Krisha is in this movie. But,
holy shit! Look,
oh no way!
Breakthrough. Yeah. Ew, my hair looks awful because I just washed it. Breakthrough. I'm telling you, there's so much Spring Breakers. I'm sure Harmony Korine was in his mind and be like, dude, you're in Miami. Make it feel like Miami. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
No, and that chick, the chick from Spring Breakers, the blonde one, I forgot her name. She followed me like after that video I posted, but then when she saw the video, I guess when she saw the video I made about Trump, she unfollowed me.
Damn.
One interesting plot point that I was surprised wasn't explored was the fact that you do find out later in the movie that his mom is not his mom. And I think that could have tied in really well with the whole abortion and having that happen or having it not happen, and what his relationship would be with his child if his child does come into this world. And there's something there that connects with his relationship with his mom, I think. But they never explore that. And I thought they were going to when we get that little plot point. Like, you don't even need to say that you're not my mom. You could just be shit to your mom. You don't need to include that at all. It doesn't add to the fact. You're like, fuck you, I'm doing my own thing, or fuck you, you're not my mom. Don't need that. It would not change the story really at all, in my opinion. But the fact that you have the whole will they or will they not abort this baby, and the fact that it doesn't connect at all to the mother is perplexing to me. I thought those two plot points really could have made an interesting dynamic or an interesting conversation even in the second half of the movie. It just never comes back. I don't know if you guys saw that as well, but
yeah, no, and the more you think about it, damn. The more you think about it, he's low key trying to make Alexa Demi's character like seem like she's the problem, like she's the start of the whole problem. The more you think about it, she's like, oh, I don't want to do this no more, or I want to keep it, and now bye, I'm gonna leave you alone. So it's like,
Nothing
I don't
any
know.
of them, nothing really anyone does feel like real human decisions. Like they just feel like bad writing, and like the way he crashes out and how quickly it happens and how much shit he does not feel like it feels like he is like literally having a psychotic break. Like that's the level this character would have to be at to do any of the shit that he does. Like it's not just like, and I think the point he's trying to get at is like he's obviously trying to talk about like this relationship he and his father have is like this hyper masculine thing, and they live together, blah blah blah. That's what the whole start of the movie is about, and like they're not actually, they're very repressed and they're not talking about things, and like I mean the fact that he's also literally stealing his father's painkillers, which his dad somehow doesn't notice. Like he's doing that for a long time. Like what
Yeah, I
kind of
hated
like,
that part.
and he seems like a guy who's like on top of his shit and organized, and like so how does he not notice that? And would he never notice his son was acting in a way that was impaired? I just that's another more bad writing. But
I understand.
just
Realistically, a father who wants his son to achieve in sports would take it seriously if the son has an injury, because people who have injuries in sports can still perform all the time. But if you don't take, if you're so emotionally abusive to your child, right, and you're not concerned, oh, his shoulder's fine. No, I think if you're really serious about if at least I was, if I thought my child, who could be very successful in collegiate or even professional sports one day, is having an injury right now, let's get that shit figured out and get it fixed now, or he might not ever play again. So I get what you're saying, that it doesn't seem very realistic for a dad just to be like, no, you could power through it.
I mean,
they try to explain it though, because they literally, there's a point of conversation where they're talking about his knee, and she's like, oh, like you took care of your knee. Like they're supposed to imply that, oh, he didn't do it for himself, so now that he's a grown man 20 years later, he wouldn't care about his son. But like he's not giving him the painkillers, he's stealing them, and the father doesn't notice, which is just like so stupid, I think. But
yeah, I just think ultimately like the family, that they just want to remind you like too much and in a very poorly written way that the family is broken. Like, but there's just a lot that he's trying to juggle in here that's just I don't know, man. And like I said, the whole stepmom thing is just it's too much relatability. Like if people don't relate to that, like you're not really breaking it down for people to like really care too much.
And I do I think appropriately both halves of these movies are the same in quality, which good for him. I just think they're very both poor. It's just like I don't understand the thought process. I think it's just like, oh, I'm going to do this cool artistic thing of splitting this movie in half with two different characters. And I honestly think that, like, imagine if you completely scrap the ideas that are presented in this movie, and you do make the ending of it him crashing out on his girlfriend. Like Dan was saying, it seems like his whole crashing out is super fast. Make that the climax of the film and give attention both to him but also Taylor Russell at the same time. And you can
slow
see
down the progression of everything and flesh it out.
You can see this family dynamics that we're missing, right? We like it seemed very abrupt that he was like, "You're not my mom." Show us that, right? Don't make that halfway through the film. Show us that at the very end of the movie and see these little connections between the two interactions that would make him, or have a friend at school put those ideas in his mind, something like that. Like I said, that's something we don't ever see, is that he's feeling this inner turmoil towards his mother. That's the big issue with this movie. I think it could have worked a lot more if we don't split it in half. Just simple.
You notice a little bit with the stepmom, like I said, because that's something that like I see with my son and my wife. It's like you kind of notice the hesitance that like for him with Tyler towards the stepmom. You kind of see a little bit of that, but like I said, they don't really do much of anything, and then they just throw that at you where he's like, "You're not my mom," and all this, and it's just it's tough. I don't know. Like I said, if you don't have relatability to the situation, is you're not gonna feel too much. It's exactly like Hurry Up Tomorrow. Is he needs to just, I don't know, man, make a story that isn't personal, I guess, because it ain't working too much. I don't know what's going on there. Or get a new writer. It's like
She needs to focus more on characters and less on aesthetics, and like just
Yeah.
chill out.
that too. Yeah.
So you mentioned that like you see the little hints of him being, hesitant towards his mom. But I remember a scene where they're literally in the kitchen and he's talking to her and it seems like they're just chill. And then Sterling Kane Brown comes in. He's like, "What are you doing? Get out of here. Get to practice," or something like that. Like he is the one that feels like Tyler doesn't have a connection with. So the fact that it seems like Tyler is more close with his mother, obviously he's not as close with his father because of who he is and how loud and corrective he is, I guess. That's what makes me think like, oh, he doesn't have a connection with both of them. I didn't even realize that because I'm so focused on Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah,
I guess that's
I don't know
what
what they were doing with him. Yeah, with him too, because Sterling K. Brown feels like he's there, and then the next minute he's like not there, and then they just make him like feel like that father is like, my son's a garbage piece of shit. If he's not on top, he's not nothing. And it's like, I don't
like
know,
him.
but he seemed like a good guy, but then it's like, yeah, then he seems terrible, and it's like, I don't know what Trey is really going for here, bro. Like,
Yeah.
just broken home. That's it. I guess grief and broken home.
The Harmony Korine inclusion in this like blew my mind. Have you ever seen Spring Breakers, Fabian?
Yeah. I mentioned that yesterday. My wife was like, "Yeah, I bet you liked it. I bet you liked that movie," because I was telling her that girl followed me.
Spring Break. Like I would love. Dan, you have not watched that movie, have you? I think you would absolutely hate that film.
Oh yeah, he would.
Well, James Franco's a shitty person anyways, but then he plays a shitty person in the movies. I think you would just. But he's like a cartoon character. Like it feels like GTA 5 like came to life and inspired that movie. So it's something. But that blew my mind that he's in this film. Wow. I think he's actually a writer on this movie, uncredited.
Yeah, he needs to stop. Yeah, he's terrible. But
I also don't think that you can title. I think the reason why he splits it up into two too is you're supposed to. It's waves, right? I feel like you're supposed to feel the ripple effect of what happened in the first act in the second act. So kind of if you don't split this movie up into two different segments, I think it doesn't get the point across that Trey is trying to say with this movie. Like, what is the aftermath of this event? Which, if you're trying to say that, okay, but the fact that it focuses on one character rather than the father and the mother as well seems strange. But like, what he's trying to do doesn't work if you don't split this film up, unfortunately, which I think is the poorest part of the film.
And what I also don't get is Taylor Russell's character seems really caring about Tyler's character. Like she's into like, everything that goes on with him. Like she's always worried about him. You see that a lot throughout the film. But when she sees this man at the party doing whatever he's doing, she just sits there.
Yeah.
Like
so bad.
But it's like you have like, they are a broken home, a broken family, but you see that the sister and brother are like connected. Like he even cries to her and everything. Like they have a scene where he's sitting there and she's like, comforting him and everything. So it's like, if she cared about him so much and she's so close with him, it's like, if you see your brother at a party that he's not supposed to be in general, and you just see him walking around, aren't you gonna go like
react in any way?
Yeah, like go see him. Why are you here? What are you doing here? No, she just sits there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
She also has a relationship with his girlfriend too. So.
Wait, what was it? What'd you say?
I said he also has a relationship. He also has a relationship with his girlfriend too. So.
Yeah, so it's like
she does. She is.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some.
There's also a big old.
I'm definitely dropping the score.
Yeah, big old flop. It's made like $2 million, but.
Yeah, he went through like a bad phase where like he got into like drugs and stuff because of that. Like I said, you can tell it got to his head with having so much budget and now you need to make all this money back. But I feel like if he just goes back to horror, he'll be good.
So you're saying after this film came out and the success of it was not a lot, Trey like kind of spiraled out?
Yeah, it was successful like for like audiences, but it wasn't
Right.
successful financially. So, and I guess that's all that's gonna matter to a director. You know, you need to make the money. So, but now at this point in life, now he's like I mentioned earlier, I believe he said he got married. Um, so he's in a good headspace. So that's why now the story that he told with Hurry Up Tomorrow, it's not necessarily a personal story. Well, kind of, because he went through, a dark place as well. So he kind of added a little bit of his own, but he was just telling the Weeknd's personal story again. And like I said, I think he needs to just get away a little bit from personal stuff.
Yeah. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on Waves?
Stop the 360 spin.
Yeah. It was so funny, like telling my brother about that before hurry up tomorrow. I was like, I hope that doesn't happen. Boy, I was even wrong thinking it would happen at all. It happened more than I was ever expecting it to.
I don't know if you saw OTS's video. he's like, I could do this too.
The one thing I'm interested in when it comes to like Abel and Trey is the fact that, like you said, he is in a better space now, like headspace now, and supposedly so is Abel. So I'm curious what Trey's movies will be, and also Abel's music. Like, is that why you're? I've always thought that when it comes to musicians too, is you have all of these interesting, conflicting thoughts in your mind, and you depict that in music. How successful is it going to be? Like, well, I'm happy as a kite now, man. I'm doing great. Like, does the same aesthetic of your films and your music translate over into something else? So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, there's something good in Trey's life that he can also put to screen rather than just what he's put so far. Any good memories?
Yeah, I feel like good stories are still a good thing because I haven't seen Ballad of Wallace Island, but I'm hearing like it's like a fairly like happy movie in a way. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like those can work. Like,
Yeah.
we'll see.
I agree.
But yeah, so do you have any films that you would like to recommend to our audience, CineSpidey, as we're drawing this episode to a close? Anything you watched recently?
I just saw Akira for the first time.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
How was
It
that?
was crazy. I would say immersive, like for anime, like especially for the time that it was made. I think it was like 1980s. Yeah, that film's beautiful. You haven't seen it, Dan?
I think if I did, it was a long time ago. But
Yeah, it has a lot to say politically, also about society, also personally. It's not like a cheaply made movie. You can tell they put a lot of work into the animation in there, the art style. So yeah, I would definitely say people want to have a good vibe, a good Sunday, well, good Monday when this comes out. I would say check out Akira if you haven't.
I would say, I'm just being honest. That is the first. I've never watched any anime movie. I've never watched any Studio Ghibli movie, which is surprising because I love animation so much. I want to sit down and watch them all, and I'm not in the right headspace, I think, to do that yet. But Akira is like the first any anime I've ever watched. Dude, that ending goes nuts. And when I was watching, I was like, "Jeez, this is so huge." And the fact that it was made in the '80s is just wild. But yeah, I was just sitting there, kind of with my mouth open at the end. I was like, "What is?" I knew what was going on, but at the same time, I was like, "How is this possible when I'm watching on screen right now?"
Yeah. Were you also underwhelmed by the Akira slide? Because I was kind of underwhelmed by it.
Yes, 100%.
They make it seem like it's like this fucking
I thought that was going to happen
spectacle or
at the
something.
finale.
Yeah, me too.
Well, but whatever.
But what do you guys recommend?
I can do one real quick. It's a movie I actually just watched yesterday. It should be probably out on streaming soon. I went to the theater yesterday to watch. What did I watch? Oh, Friendship. This is 2 days ago. I watched Friendship, which was good. I didn't like it as much as Dan did, which he was a little bit disappointed about. If you like Tim Robinson screaming, then you'll really enjoy it. Have you watched it yet?
No, not yet. But his humor is definitely unique.
Yeah. There's this one drug sequence. I won't get into the spoilers, but I told Dan it's my favorite part of the movie. And even me saying there's a drug sequence, you will never predict what the drug sequence is. And I loved it. It was my favorite part. Anyways, so But before that, I was just trying to find a movie that really fit with like my timing. Like I had 4 hours, so I was like, okay, my friendship screening's at 2. Can I find anything that's playing at like 12:15? And I can't. I just watched this movie called Watch the Skies, and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. And I'm a really big. I like Stranger Things. I think that's a lot of my wife and me as well because she really enjoys Stranger Things. So I think I will like it more just because I'm enjoying it with her. Like her presence just being there really amplifies my enjoyment of the series in general. And this kind of just feels like Stranger Things but in a movie. It's a Swedish film. It's originally titled UFO Sweden, but I think for American audiences they titled it Watch the Skies. And the movie actually came out in 2022 and it's now just getting a theatrical release. I think it looks very good, like a high produced film, but it's literally just Stranger Things. Like somebody goes missing, this girl's dad goes missing, and he was a UFO like enthusiast, was always trying to find mysteries, and then a mystery made him like vanish. So it's her growing up, then trying to figure out what happened to him, and she joins this like little UFO group called UFO Sweden, which I think is a real life or not society, but organization that actually does this stuff in Sweden. But very big Stranger Things vibes, and then you get a little bit of Interstellar at the end, which is a blatant rip off of Interstellar. But if you can look past the fact that the inspirations of the movie, I just think the fact that I'm a big sucker for doo 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 like 80s music.
Yeah.
Like I said, if the movie looks nice and everything, I think the characters is where the movie really falters in my opinion, but I've always liked movies that feel like E.T., that feel like Stranger Things, and the fact that we haven't got that in a really long time, I think was what just helped me enjoy the movie even more. Like, and also the fact that I didn't know what a movie was going into it. So imagine going into a movie like E.T. and just sitting down and just kind of E.T. playing in front of you when you haven't seen anything like that in a long time. So if you ever need, I would say if you're ever in the mood for something like that and you want to watch something in a similar taste as Stranger Things and ET. Like this is it. But yeah, one thing that was really annoying though was it was dubbed, and I noticed it very quickly that it was dubbed. And I hate dubbing in movies. I wish they was just subtitles, but American audiences sometimes can't process that, or they don't want to. Yeah, watch the skies. It's
Yeah, I
probably
gotta check that out.
There's only one screening of it, I think, during the day, so it'll probably be on streaming very soon. But it has a pretty good rating, 3.2 on Letterboxd, so not bad. But
Not bad. Yeah, I gotta check that out. What
Yeah.
about you, Dan?
I watched The Passion of Joan of Arc, which you can watch for free on YouTube, with like the music and all behind it. It's like talked about as like one of the better movies of all time, and I thought it was really, really good. It's silent. It's like 80 minutes. I would say definitely check it out. I enjoyed it very much.
didn't you talk about like a possible casting of like a new version of the story coming? Is anybody casting it or?
They allegedly offered it to Bella Ramsey, which is what I talked about. But that was
Yeah.
the movie is definitely happening from what's his face, Baz Luhrmann, which is interesting. But the rumor was she was offered the role and also that she was interested in it. So we'll see. But yeah, that's going to be coming at some point.
I think there was a rumor that Jenna Ortega was also, because I remember the Baz Luhrmann like Joan of Arc story breaking that he was going to do an adaptation of it, and I think she was the person that everyone was talking about. That's what she needs. Do that. Don't do some edgy teen thing. Be Joan of Arc.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of an edgy teen thing, but like also like
different period.
Yeah, but I mean it would take more. I'd be interested to see her do something like that, and like if it, if you bomb, you bomb, but like try something intense and dramatic like that. But yeah, we'll see.
I'm so annoying. I'm like looking up Jenna Ortega height right now and Joan of Arc height. Because height just factors in so much to movies. For like you said, Fabian, just watching her lift that gas can over her head, it's just like, there's no way. So they're both the same height, so that gotta work. Not that that matters at all. You could have like what's her name, Gwendolyn Christie, the girl from the actress from Game of Thrones. I just love her so much. But did you ever watch Severance, Fabian?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm hearing it's really well from all of you guys. I heard it's one of the best Apple TV shows. So I gotta watch. Gotta check it out.
Hot take, or not hot take, but a hot pull here at the end, Dan. What would you prefer, Severance or Andor?
Andor.
Let's fucking go.
I got a
Andor's
long
so-
way to go with
Yeah,
Star
the
Wars.
more we learn about Severance, the more I'm like, yeah, this is good. Like, it's good. It's a good show. It's cooler when you know less, I think. But
I agree.
Oh, like behind it.
Andor's so good.
yeah.
Damn.
Dude, Andor is only you just like started watching Star Wars, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love the first one. I love the what was his name? Jar Jar? His character.
I don't know. Oh, but trolling there. I don't know about that.
Well, from what I saw, like I like the design
Okay.
of the
Did you
character.
watch Did you watch them wait, is that the very first one you watched?
Yeah, that's like the first time I've ever seen anything Star Wars, anything at all.
Oh, so that's what you're on right now. You just watched episode 1.
Well, episode 4. No, well, yeah. Doesn't it go backwards?
How many have you watched so far? How many movies?
The first movie, A New Hope, but isn't A New Hope considered the fourth?
Yes.
But you said you like
Oh.
Jar. So were you just trolling because Jar Jar isn't in it?
Isn't he? Yeah, isn't he? Doesn't he appear like outside of something?
You're trolling me right now. Stop.
Dude, I swear to God, I did it. I said in my review.
What did you
Let me-
watch?
Or maybe I'm confusing his character. Let me make sure. Hold on.
Yeah, I feel like you
what does Jar Jar
absolutely
look
just,
like?
Wait, let me make sure. Hold on.
you watched the movie with Luke, right? Right, Fabian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jar
You
Jar's
watched-
not in.
There's no Jar Jar. Yeah. You talking
Wait,
about
like
somebody else?
He goes, "Oh, Han Solo, my bad."
No. Oh, it was Jabba. My fault.
Jabba.
Oh, okay,
Jabba.
okay.
Yeah, that's on me.
Okay. I was really.
You had to tweak it out there for a second.
Yeah.
I was like, "What combination of
tweaking.
films did you get to watch A New Hope and a Phantom Menace just like combined?"
I found like a new director's cut.
Oh, but I'm glad you liked A New Hope. Yeah, geez, that was something. Jabba the Hutt wasn't originally in the movie. They George Lucas added him to it, which I think was awesome.
Yeah, I heard about that. Like, wasn't it like a physical person or something?
I just think he wasn't. I think they had the idea to include Jabba. If I'm not mistaken, they had the idea to. I don't think Jabba was in the movie, but I think they shot a scene where it was just a dude and they cut it. If I'm not mistaken. But then when George Lucas wanted to add in like CGI to it, they included that scene and then just replaced the dude with Jabba the Hutt, which I think was very detrimental because you eventually get to see Jabba and a really cool version of him in the third movie, Return of the Jedi. But if you had all this buildup of this character, like you hear about Jabba in the first movie and you hear about him in the second movie, but finally seeing him in the third movie, I think adds so much weight rather than you just seeing a CGI version of him in the very first one. I think that detracts so much from Return of the Jedi. But I'm excited for you to watch Star Wars. Sorry, I've been like Star Wars pilled ever since Andor, man. I've just been making videos about Andor constantly. I'm gonna make one again today.
So you saw the McClunky version, Fabian.
Funky.
Oh, no, I saw. Wait, no, he did. I don't think he said it. I don't remember him saying McClunky. But that shit was hilarious. So
Yeah. Nice.
yeah, he was like, he says it and then he shot him.
But appreciate you joining us again this morning, man. Third time's a charm. You done? You done after this? After we trash?
I'm sorry, Star Wars fans. Don't come after me.
But yeah, tell everyone where to find you, Fabian.
Yeah, you can find me at CineSpider on TikTok, sometimes IG. I might delete it again. I'm gonna be honest, it's whatever. But yeah, mainly TikTok, Letterbox, and yeah, hoping for the best. And I hope everyone watches and actually cares about what I gotta say.
Spring Breakers does, or she did.
Well, yeah, she did, but we found out that she might be a Trumpy, so
Good riddance.
thumbs down.
Yeah.
GG.
And next week we're going to be covering the reality show about the immigration stuff. So I'm just joking.
Oh God.
A fucking stupid idea. You just talking about Trump just made me think of that.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
standing
crazy.
there, man, bro.
But no, on a better note, we're going to be talking about I think Mission Impossible and all the Mission Impossible movies, which that's a lot to watch. Hopefully we can get all those rewatches in this week as the final reckoning comes out, which I've heard interesting things about from one of our hosts of this podcast. So that'll be exciting to watch down the road. But until then, everyone this week, go out and watch some good movies, but sit on a park bench, call up your friends, And we'll see you then. Peace out, everybody.